Since the beginning of its appearance in Indonesia in March 2020, the coronavirus pandemic has direct impact and has hit almost all tourism industry activities in Indonesia. Indonesia is a country that has natural wealth in the forms of beautiful flora and fauna with its uniqueness. All forms of this uniqueness make Indonesia an enormous tourism potential and is an important economic sector in Indonesia. For example, Kalimantan has abundant natural resources such as tourist destination in the mangrove and proboscis monkey conservation area, or what abbreviated as KKMB in the city of Tarakan, North Kalimantan. This location is a place that must be visited and is one of the icons of the city of Tarakan. The city of Tarakan has also not been spared from the COVID-19 pandemic, including the breadwinners in the KKMB environment. As felt by Mr. Alwi, 46 years, a tour guide and also as an official who cares for the flora and fauna at KKMB, must reflect on his shaggy way due to the unstable income he received during the pandemic. Before the pandemic hit, Mr. Alwi was one of the people who was very productive and cared for the flora, which was dominated by the mangrove plants, and fauna was dominated by the endemic animal bekantan. And be a tour guide when visitor from morning to evening. The income he gets is sufficient to meet the needs of his family because the KKMB is so crowded with the local tourists and also no less visit from foreign tourists. In contrast to the emergence of the pandemic that so shocked him, it was as if a nightmare that could not be avoided. Mr. Alwi must accept the fact that KKMB is now very empty of visitors and gradually has to close to the instruction from the local government. Indirectly, it hit him badly, especially since his previously productive activities had to be limited because he wasn't home. His income also decreased drastically, especially since he supported his wife and 3 children and occasionally had to send money to his parents in the village. It is ironic indeed, but the wheel of life must keep running regardless of the circumstance. Therefore, Mr. Alwi had to rack his brain to find business alternatives so he could be restrained during a crisis. He also embraced and invited his fellow tourism officials at KKMB. They are Rizal and Halim through virtual discussion. They took the initiative to establish an online culinary business by selling Kalimantan specialties, and mostly from the processed seafood and also dishes such as pudding and others. It turns out that the initiative received a positive response and sympathy from the others, especially culinary lovers. The result that Mr. Alwi, Rizal, and Halim got for a while was sufficient to support their respective family in the midst of an endless pandemic. Besides that, Mr. Alwi also hopes that there will be moral and material support from the local stakeholders. The COVID-19 pandemic is indeed so frightening. By complying with the protocol recommended by the government, it can minimize the occurrence of the transmission. We all have to instill the optimism and always think positively, like the story of Mr. Alwi, who is not only silent in fear and worry, but Mr. Alwi has unyielding in nature and is always challenged by new things. This includes taking the initiative to embrace his friends to look for the business alternatives that have a positive impact on them. So, we are all expected not to think all problems are bitter, but we must be able to take lessons from the problems that occurred to become a better person than before.